Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. When Jesus looked up, he saw some wealthy people putting their offerings into the treasury, and he noticed a poor widow putting in 2 small coins. He said, "I tell you truly, this poor widow put in more than all the rest, for they have made offerings from their surplus wealth, but she, from the poverty, has offered her whole livelihood." The Gospel of the Lord.
The 2 cents that the widow offered in some way can represent for us perhaps 2 other things. Well, first of all, the woman's giving of her last 2 coins, all that she had. This becomes sort of an example of total self-giving. She's willing to give her complete self as Jesus did, laying down his life, the totality of his life, laying everything down for the love of us all. It is the foundation of what we call agape love, total self-giving. It's the love that should be experienced between married couples. It's the love that's experienced between the priest and his parishioners, being ready to give everything. It also can be a meaning of exerting a great effort beyond what you thought you had. There's something to be said for certain natural abilities, and yet natural ability isn't everything. Sometimes great effort can succeed where natural ability fails. And sometimes people with natural ability rely on that and never really work. Anybody see the movie Rudy? That's a great example of that. Then there's something else. Letting go of things. The effort to let something go. The 2 cents that I hang on to that are really not worth anything, but I just can't let them go. That could be something like a grudge, or an anger, or a lack of forgiveness. To let those go leaves the hand empty. And sometimes those things are so consuming, they seem like a lot. But to let these things go, leave the hand empty to receive mercy, and then to give mercy. God can be generous with his mercy when we let things like that go. And sometimes it has to do with attachments, being attached to things that I can't let go, things that are hurting me. They may be sinful. Maybe an attached relationship that's not necessarily bad in and of itself, but it's not good for me either. One of the things that I learned as a teenager, before I was even thinking about being a priest, I learned this just in good Christian principles. No recreational dating. It leaves too much room for an attachment that's not healthy. And sometimes we might get attached obsessively to maybe our internet, what's on the phone. I saw a cartoon not too long ago about a man who was looking around with this big question mark, was the caption over his head. There was a big question mark, and he had a cell phone in his hands. And the next cartoon picture said, he was saying, Did I miss the second coming? And then God answers, you were too busy looking down at your phone. Then there can be attachments to sin, where there's the necessity of repentance and dying to myself. And the fruit of that is holiness and freedom. And someone who becomes pure and lives what St. Matthew counsels in chapter 5. Blessed are the pure of heart, the single heart. In other words, there's nothing left but God and Him alone. Again, these things, like these attachments, these sins, these grudges, all these things, when we learn to let them go, these things that we're holding as a prized possession, and they're really not worth much. We let these things go and our hand is empty. Giving those things away in generosity. And because it requires an effort in some cases, it could be considered a generosity. I'm giving this to God, that's all I have. And giving those things in generosity leaves room in the hand for the key to heaven.
Regina Celi, letare, alleluia, qui